Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday live stream. This is one day before we actually get into the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. It's going on right now. I will be there. So, of course, if you are there, let me know and we'll do a little meetup or something like that. But today, we got to talk about a lot of things. So let's just jump right in. First of all, I think we all know the market is not going in a skyrocket pattern, going straight up, which we knew it would never do that. However, today is a little bit interesting because we see quite a bit of we'll say a pullback, right? I want to say a crash or a dump. I'll just say a pullback because everybody likes that word. That's it. Well, we got a market cap of 2.4. Everything's in the red. I'm not going to go through this. You know this. You've checked your portfolio about 1,000 times. Why? What's going on? Well, just like the thumbnail and the title suggest, I think there's a lot of things going on. There's the macro environment. There's our environment. And then there's just some stuff that doesn't make any sense to me, and it's FUD, and it's just irrational, but that's what the market is. It is irrational sometimes. Or it's somebody else just saying, you know what, I'm going to use these stories to take a little profits off the table, which I got to tell you, I'm totally fine with. If you may notice, and I've talked about this about a bajillion times, it is rule number 5, take profits. You should have done that anyhow. So here's what we got. I'm going to talk to you about Mt.Gix. We talked about this on NFA Live when it was me, Guy, and Ben. I told you why I think this is a ridiculous story. People will sell, but here's why it's just there to scare the hell out of you. So this is what's going on. Bitstamp starts Mt.Gix creditor repayments. And that just happened about 4 hours, maybe 6 hours ago or so. So here's what we have. The crypto exchange, not Mt.Gix, Bitstamp received all Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ether and started repaying creditors on July 25th. That would be today. So it has been transferred from Mt.Gix into those wallets if you would like to track that, which it's always good to have as much knowledge as you possibly can. There's a link in the description. It is from Arkham Intelligence, and you can track all the wallets from Mt.Gix and where it's going. And look at that. It even has everything labeled for you to make it super simple. Bitstamp, a lot of Bitstamp. Cold wallets, who knows where that is, and they'll probably label them at some point. So you can check that out. So if you're kind of worried about things, just give it a whirl. So here's what we have. Also, Mt.Gix's UK creditors will have to wait a few more months. And I know people are kind of worried because, people are going to get it and they're going to sell. They will sell, but I don't think it's going to be that much. And I'll tell you why. But I have to give you balance and know what's going on. Only the creditors in specific regions, US being one of them, are going to receive their Bitcoin Cash today. And then 1 to 2 months, you're going to see this same stupid story pop up again to scare people yet again, and they're going to sell yet again. So you can look at it in 2 ways. I look at it as like opportunities because I was kind of worried that everything's going to go straight up, and it didn't, thank God. And now I'm just like, well, this is great. Now I get to keep dollar cost averaging because I never feel like I have enough anyhow. So here's a quote from the organization. While UK customers will not be included in the first tranche of distributions, UK customers can expect to receive their restored within the next few months and will receive more information in due course. Man, they're really taking their time. So how does that work? Well, it states here Bitcoin's price doesn't seem to be affected by Mt.Gix creditors as on-chain data suggests they aren't selling. This is following Kraken's distribution to creditors. And this quote is from Kyung Ju, who was on the channel about a year ago or so from Crypto Quant. He said, look, Mt.Gix creditors received Bitcoin 4 hours ago. Again, this was this morning, super early. There has been no significant spike in hourly spot trading volume dominance. Hey, Bitcoin dominance. Or Bitcoin outflows on Kraken since then. So what is it? What the heck is going on? Well, I will just tell you like this. And we talked about this on the NFA Live show. This is from Alex Thorne. And he said, he's from lead researcher in Galaxy. He says, look, as a refresher, Mt.Gix lost almost 1,000 Bitcoin, 940,000 Bitcoin from a hack, but they only recovered 15% of that. That's 141,000 or 63 million at the time. Do you know how much that 141,000 Bitcoin is worth now? It's worth about $9 billion. And then also, which is kind of interesting, is that all these people that receive Bitcoin because they held Bitcoin. I mean, not because they wanted to, because they had to, because the Bitcoin was actually with the creditor service. Because of that, they received Bitcoin Cash. I'm more worried about Bitcoin Cash being dumped, but as far as like the amount, it looks like it's only that was recovered 67 million. So I don't think it's gonna be that bad as well. So again, $9 billion. And then if you take a look at this right here, it'll talk about early payout haircut, 11%, estimated percentage of recovery taking early payout. That's 75% because the 25% got sold off to funds. And they said, look, just give us a haircut. You can take it. I just want my money. And then they're gone. And the funds have absorbed that Bitcoin. So again, I just don't see this as like the big thing, but here's why it affects the price in some way, shape, or form. Because the market is irrational. And that's just normal. That's par for the course. Again, it's pretty great when you look at your because I have Coinbase, because I'm stuck in America, but I'm an American citizen. And that's mostly what I'm using. For dollar cost average, I'm like, hey, look at that. I got a nice discount. Looking pretty good. But you've also got people who do leverage and margin trading, and they get liquidated because they're like, what? It really went down that much? If you went long on Ethereum, boy, I feel sorry for you. That's just how it is. Then, of course, that leads to herd mentality because they see the price go down, which means maybe the order books go a little bit thin. People start to sell off. The bots pick that up and go, wow, they're selling. I need to sell too. And they start selling. There's a problem with slippage, 1, 2, 5%. Then people are trying to play arbitrage around the different centralized exchanges. They put in the stop loss orders, and just it's a big chain and goes around and around. And that just leads us to stuff like this. So I'm not too surprised about it. It's just how things go. So let me know what you think about that in the comments section. Hopefully it eased your worries a little bit as far as the ET or the Mt.Gix participation and sell-off. Let me make this crystal clear. They will sell. They'll sell some. But I'm not for sure that they're going to sell off the 140 or 92 thousand Bitcoin that they have right now. I just don't see them selling 100%, but we'll see. Anyhow, that's all we have for that piece. And then also, we covered this yesterday, the Ethereum ETF, and we didn't have the data for BlackRock. And you can see that on the 23rd of July, we had a net positive of 106 million as far as the flow for the Ethereum ETF, which was pretty good for the first day. I got to admit. Now, Grayscale does Grayscale things. And of course, they dump. And then yesterday, we didn't have the data for BlackRock. And everybody was telling me, like, you got to hold off because BlackRock's going to come in hot. They didn't. So BlackRock, as you can see under this section right here, BlackRock ETH, they went from 266 million on the first round or the first day of ETF sales to 17.4. Fidelity beat them. Actually, Fidelity kept very static. 71 million the day before, 74 million yesterday. Who knows what it's going to be today? So again, there is a negative effect. And that's where we're down as far as net flows at negative 26 million. So I was thinking about this, and some people would say, well, Rob, you don't understand. We talked about, everybody at Grayscale is just dumping because they don't like the fees. Because you can see right here, Grayscale, ETH at 2.5% or 0.15%. And I was like, oh, okay. So they would probably dump, and most of them would probably stick with Grayscale. They're like, okay, you kind of screwed me on that, on those rates, but I'll stick with you because I don't want to figure out anything else. I don't want to figure out cold storage and how to buy that on a centralized exchange. So I'll just stick with you guys at 0.15%, which is, if you look at the fees, is the lowest. But that didn't happen. You had 484 here and 15 million here. You had 326 yesterday to 45 here. So yeah, there is a little bit back and forth, and maybe this is new players, but that's not the case. That's what the Ethereum ETF is. But, and this is a big one, you have to remember just what happened to the Bitcoin ETF, which was the most successful ETF of all time. And this is from heyapollo.com. Links in the description. You can check that out. Holy smokes, I didn't see it. There was 1,000 Bitcoin inflow from BlackRock. Did they not get the memo? Well, good for them. So it's pretty good. That's not what I wanted to show you, but congratulations. This is looking pretty good. But again, FUD reigns supreme, even though you had 1,000 Bitcoin bought up. People are scared about macro and Mt.Gix nonsense. So anyhow, I just want to show you this. This started on January 10th. And from there, the Bitcoin flows, it just kind of went in a straight line, or excuse me, ascending pattern. We can see here, and then there's a little bit of a drop down here, but then there was just a nice steady flow of Bitcoin. And as this was happening, again, January 10th, what did that look like? Well, price action wise, it sucked. You're going to see that on January 10th, that was 6 in the morning, around right here, the first day, everybody was happy, like, woo, it's looking pretty good. And then the next day, around 8 a.m., everybody's like, yeah, let's dump this. And they just started selling. And that's what, ETFs, and some people say, well, why was there such a dump? There's a multitude of reasons. Really what it comes down to is this. There's more sellers than buyers, and that's just how it goes. So if we overlay this, again, we were kind of going on a nice upward trajectory, were we not? And what were we doing here for the price? Pew. And over the last 2 weeks, is that the amount? Wow. 48,000 to 38,000. 10,000. Wow. It's quite a bit if you think about it. But this got me to thinking. If you're into ETFs and you got a, reasonable amount of money and you are an investor and you're used to, stuff like these huge, wide, crazy days, S&P 500 being down a whopping negative 1.9%, or over a month being down 0.58%. If you're used to like stuff like this, and you get over here and you start to see like, oh, okay, well, I can make a boatload of money just by buying this cheap as it goes down, because I've done my research. I was instructed by Fidelity and BlackRock and everybody else to, where things are going. I'll just kind of hold on to this for a couple of weeks and see where it goes. And I'll be damned if they didn't do a great job, because this is what it looked like afterwards. From here, January 11th, that's this piece. When in doubt, zoom out. And what happened after that, after 2 weeks or so? And here we are today. So I just look at all this stuff, and going back to this one, this Ethereum ETF, if these guys got into ETH, years and years ago, and they're just like, oh, okay, we're going to do the same playbook. We're going to start dumping Ethereum. Ethereum will then crash like we did with Bitcoin, because that's what we do here at Grayscale. We dump, and we're just going to let it crash, and then we're going to keep buying along the way, and we're going to make a boatload of money. Like, it just makes sense. This makes sense to me. Tell me where I'm wrong here, but it just makes total sense that they would just dump on the market, then scoop it up as they usually do, and then, dump on everybody again when things get overheated. Anyhow, that's just what I see. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. But the question then lastly is this, well, if that's going on, who else is dumping on us? Cathie Wood is. So I know everybody likes Cathie Wood. I like Cathie Wood, right? But this was just kind of brushed over today. Cathie Wood's ARK investment sells about $8 million of its own spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, on this channel, I will applaud that. Good for you, right? She never said she's going to hold forever. She's not going to be the only, or the Michael Saylor, and say, hey, I'm going to buy every single top that's out there. They want to rebalance their portfolio. And to that, I say, bravo. That's what you should be doing. And that's why I have the rules right there. But here's what we have. ARK's investment strategy aims to let no individual holding take up more than 10% of an ETF's portfolio. This is to maintain diversification within its funds, meaning it is likely to continue rebalancing its weightings if ARK B rises relative to ARK's other holdings in the fund. So when you hear these stories about like this person's buying and they're buying and this looks great, and we've got, even Mara just bought $100 million or whatever it was of Bitcoin. You have to remember one thing. They're not here because they're trying to change the world. They're trying to change their pocketbook. And it's good that they're doing these things. And maybe they are here to change the pocketbook. I can't speak for them. Who am I? Just some guy in front of a green screen talking to his computer. But you look at this, and it's a good reminder for you to take the profits when you see them. So we did this whole presentation about take profits, right? And this is from my video where I said, avoid these 5 mistakes. There's a link in the description. You can check it out. And it's where I talk about essentially the 5 rules, right? Don't leave anything on exchanges. I've learned my lesson on that one. I think the Mt.Gix people did first. I just didn't listen to them. Everything's a scam until proven otherwise. Don't leave things on exchanges. Don't use leverage and take profits along the way. So I just want to remind everybody, and I said this in February, Bitcoin isn't true wealth. True wealth is your health, time you spend with your family, experiences, peace of mind for you and everybody else in your family. Bitcoin can help you get those things, but it is not those things. Please remember that. And this, of course, is going to be the same thing you're going to see. Take profits at a 2x or whatever it is, but it could 10x. And I just want to remind you that predictions are worthless. I mean, they're fun and they give you hope and hopium. That's great, but everybody revises their predictions. I know when I started to do that, I was way, way off. I mean, but maybe they come true. Maybe Jack Dorsey's 1 million by 2030, or Robert Kiyosaki's 500,000 by the end of this year. Who knows? But remember, there's a difference between the public and the private. What you say in public versus what these people are doing in private. That's Peter Thiel. And in 2022, he went to the Bitcoin convention in Miami, and he said, Bitcoin is the future, and we're investing heavily. But then this article came out in 2023, 1 month before Peter Thiel talked about the advantages of Bitcoin during a speech. His VC firm Founders Fund had already offloaded an 8-year bet on cryptocurrencies. I don't know why he didn't just say that. And then just recently, on June 28th, they asked him again, have you sold any of your Bitcoin? We're just curious because, you're a big proponent, which is fine. And I'm just going to have you listen to it. It's actually pretty fun. It's like 20 seconds. Hold on. Let me make sure you hear this. Just to make sure. Take a listen.
Have you sold any of your Bitcoin?
I still hold some. There are all these ways I didn't buy as much as I should have, and I'm not sure it's going to go up that dramatically from here.
I used to have a stuttering problem when I was a kid. I don't think Peter has a stuttering problem. I think he got caught with a question he didn't want to answer, and then there he is. But again, who cares? If they want to sell, that's fine. Remember that it's up to you to determine what's the best thing for you, when to take profits and when not. And I'm just going to leave you with this. So we talk about all this stuff, and I kind of give you a little bit of a balance here and there. But here's some good news. And this is where I think things should have gone a long time ago, but they didn't. This is Stephen Fulop. He's the mayor of Jersey City, former Marine. Hey, I like it. Good man. Another guy who served his country. And he said this, not my normal subject matter in a post, but I'll share anyway. The question on whether crypto Bitcoin is here to stay is over the crypto Bitcoin, which one won. The Jersey City Pension Fund is in process of updating paperwork to the SEC to allocate percentage of the fund to Bitcoin ETFs, similar to what Wisconsin Pension Fund did. And they put 2% of the total fund into Bitcoin ETFs. It will be completed by the end of the summer, and I'm sure eventually it will be more common. Let me say that again. Completed by the end of the summer, and I'm sure eventually it will be more common. So I know things maybe we overemphasized where things should be right now. Maybe you think that we're right on track, or maybe you think that this is just a big lull session. Whatever it is, just remember, everything takes a little bit more time, and just stick around. I think you're going to like where we're going. It just may take a while to get there. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff.